In a small, peaceful town in Oregon, where everyone knows each other and life seems to go smoothly, no one would expect that behind closed doors lie dark secrets, an unimaginable family tragedy. That evening, as night fell, a gunshot rang out, tearing apart the silence of the town. Police quickly arrived at the scene, where they discovered a horrifying scene: two bodies lying motionless on the floor and a man with blank eyes, still holding a gun. This is the story of Jessica, a beautiful young woman, Michael, her loving but often busy husband, and Richard, her powerful but ambitious father-in-law. Complicated relationships and bottomless greed led to an unexpected tragedy. Welcome to Crime YTB. Today we will explore a dramatic story of betrayal, hatred, and bloody ending that will surely make you unable to take your eyes off the screen. The small town in Oregon is a peaceful place, where every family knows each other and life passes smoothly. Surrounded by green forests and small winding roads, this town has an ancient and peaceful beauty, making everyone feel at peace when living here. In this town lives Michael's family. Michael is a hard-working, gentle man and the breadwinner of his family. He married Jessica, a young, beautiful, and gentle woman. Jessica and Michael lived together in their cozy little house, creating a happy and stable family image. Michael's father, Richard, lives with them. Richard is a powerful man in town, respected by everyone. He owns many properties and has great influence. Richard's role in the family is that of protector and second breadwinner, helping Michael with household management and financial support. Initially, Jessica and Michael's life was quite happy. They live in a cozy little house where everything seems perfect. Jessica is a devoted wife, always taking care of her family and creating a warm atmosphere in the house. Michael, despite being busy with work, always tries to spend time with his wife and make their life happier. Richard, Michael's father, plays an important role in the family. He was not only a respected father but also a great mentor and supporter to Michael. Richard's presence brings a sense of security and stability to the family. He often helps his son at work and gives valuable advice. Their lives seem to pass peacefully and happily, until Michael's lack of attention and Richard's greed lead to a secret relationship between Jessica and her father-in-law, creating an unexpected tragedy. Predictable, Jessica and Michael's happy life gradually disappeared as Michael's work became increasingly busier. Michael often comes home late, tired and exhausted. The romantic dinners and evenings together gradually disappeared, replaced by the loneliness and emptiness that Jessica had to endure. She felt like she was just a shadow in the life of Michael, the husband she once loved and respected. At first, Jessica tried to understand and sympathize with Michael, but when he came home late more and more, she couldn't help but feel abandoned. She remembers the evenings where the two of them cooked together, watched movies, and shared about life. Now, those memories seem like a distant past. The emptiness in Jessica's heart grew, and she began to seek comfort elsewhere. Mr. Richard, Jessica's father-in-law, is a powerful man with life experience. After his wife passed away, he lived alone in a large house, with loneliness always haunting him. Richard easily recognized his daughter-in-law's lack of affection. At first, it was just greetings and gentle conversations to comfort Jessica. He spent time listening to her, sharing her sadness and worries. Richard's concern made Jessica feel comforted and appreciated, something she no longer received from Michael. Richard begins spending more time with Jessica. They often walked together in the back garden, where he could comfort them and share life stories. He often invited Jessica to his office to chat and drink tea together. Passionate eyes, gentle touches on the shoulder, subtle compliments that gradually become more intimate. Richard even gave Jessica small but meaningful gifts, like a favorite book or a lovely necklace. This closeness and intimacy quickly turned into a secret relationship. At first, it was the secret hand holding when no one was around, the brief but emotional hugs. Then came the hasty kisses in the dark corners of the house when Michael wasn't home. Jessica and Richard spend passionate afternoons together while Michael is at work in Richard's private room. They knew that this relationship was wrong, but their loneliness and desire for love made them unable to stop. Their secret meetings took place when Michael was at work. They often met in Richard's private room, a place Michael rarely visited. Jessica often uses excuses like going shopping or meeting friends so she can leave the house and meet Richard. To avoid being detected, they always carefully check everything. The windows were always closed, the curtains drawn, and they left no trace that might arouse suspicion. Every time they meet, they always live in worry and suspense, afraid that one day their secret will be discovered. As time passed, this secret relationship lasted for months. Every time they meet, they sink deeper into the spiral of sin and passion. Jessica felt like she was alive again, loved and cared for like she always wanted. Richard, even though he knows that this relationship is wrong, cannot resist Jessica's attraction and the new feeling she brings. Their relationship became more complicated when Richard began talking about his future plans with Jessica. He promised to bring her a fuller and happier life, no longer lonely like before. Richard often told Jessica that she deserved the love and attention that Michael could not give. Jessica, caught up in sweet promises and the feeling of being loved, falls deeper into this relationship. They found many ways to keep their relationship a secret. When Michael goes to work, Jessica and Richard often drive to the suburbs, where there is a small house that Richard owns. This is where they can freely express their feelings without fear of being discovered. That small house became their secret refuge, a place containing moments of passion and vows of love. As time passed, Jessica began to feel conflicted and worried. She knew that what she was doing was wrong, but the feeling of love and care from Richard made her unable to stop. Richard's promises of a better future make her dream, but at the same time make her fear that one day everything will be discovered and everything will be destroyed. Even though he was busy with work, Michael still felt a change in Jessica's behavior. She became evasive, spoke less, and her eyes always contained worry and insecurity. Their conversations gradually became awkward, and Jessica often found excuses to avoid intimate encounters. This change causes Michael to begin to suspect something is wrong. Michael noticed that Jessica was often absent from home at unclear times, and when he asked, she always answered awkwardly. One time, he discovered a strange call on Jessica's phone, and when asked, she just said it was a wrong call. But Michael didn't believe it, and began to quietly follow his wife. One day, Michael decided to go home early without warning. When he entered the house, everything seemed normal. But when he went to the bedroom, he heard quiet voices and laughter from behind the half-closed door. His heart pounded. He slowly pushed the door open, and the scene before his eyes made him stunned. Jessica and Richard are together in an undeniable situation. Every emotion seemed to burst within Michael: betrayal, anger, indescribable pain. He screamed, causing Jessica and Richard to turn around in surprise. Jessica screamed, trying to explain in panic, but Michael heard nothing but screams of betrayal and hatred. In a rage, Michael ran to his office and took out the gun he kept for self-defense. The sound of gunfire tore through the silence of the night, startling the peaceful small town. Michael is no longer a gentle man who loves his wife. Betrayal from his wife and father turned him into a different person. In uncontrolled anger, he walked into the bedroom, his eyes bloodshot. Jessica and Richard, pushed into the corner, had no way to escape. Michael raised the gun, his hands shaking but his eyes determined. "Why did you betray me?" he shouted in rage. Before Jessica and Richard could respond, gunshots rang out. 1, 2, 3 shots rang out in succession. Blood splattered all over the room. That horrifying scene made viewers unforgettable. The sound of gunfire rang out in the quiet night of the small town like a sudden shock. Neighbors around Jessica and Michael's house immediately called the police when they heard that terrifying sound. Police car sirens pierced the night. Red and blue lights flashed continuously as police cars arrived at the scene. When police arrived, they found the front door of the house wide open. In the living room, the lights were bright, but the atmosphere was eerie silence. Stepping inside, the police witnessed a horrifying scene: Michael sitting on the floor, his eyes empty, still holding the gun. The bodies of Jessica and Richard lay next to each other, blood flowing on the floor, forming a large puddle. The crime scene was full of traces of the struggle. Furniture was pushed around, objects were scattered everywhere, and especially the strong smell of blood filled the room. Forensic staff quickly got to work, taking photos, collecting evidence, and examining the bodies of the victims. The police gently took the gun out of Michael's hand, handcuffed him, and took him away from the scene. Michael did not resist. He followed the police quietly, his eyes staring at the ground. His face showed no emotion, as if he had accepted his fate. At the police station, Michael was taken into the interrogation room. The bright light in the small room shone directly on his face. Sitting across from two police investigators, Michael looked tired and haggard. When asked about what happened, he began to tell his story. Michael's voice trembled, but he spoke in detail and honesty. He talked about his suspicions when he noticed that Jessica was often absent from home for unknown reasons, strange phone calls, and changes in her attitude. He recounted his feelings of pain and betrayal when he discovered his wife and father in an undeniable situation. Michael admitted that his anger and pain caused him to lose control, and in his rage he took the gun and shot them both dead. Michael does not justify his actions. He just quietly admitted all his sins, his eyes filled with tears as he recounted every detail. He talked about the love he had for Jessica, about the respect he had for his father, and about the pain of being betrayed by the two people he loved the most. Michael's confession made the police feel choked and haunted by this family tragedy. Michael's trial took place in a tense and dramatic atmosphere. The media covered the case extensively, attracting the attention of the whole town and even the country. The courtroom was filled with people, from the victim's family to those interested in the case. The reporters' flashlights continuously flashed, recording every moment of the trial. In the courtroom, Michael sat in the defendant's chair, his face haggard and his eyes empty. The prosecutor presented clear evidence of Michael's murder, from the gun found at the scene to his confession at the police station. Images of the bloody scene, shocking testimonies from witnesses, and forensic evidence were presented in detail, making the atmosphere in the courtroom heavy. Michael's defense attorney tried to argue that he acted in a fit of anger and grief, and that he was brutally betrayed by those he trusted most. They emphasized that Michael was pushed to the brink of suffering by severe mental trauma. However, these justifications cannot erase the fact that Michael committed murder. The prosecutor argued that regardless of the circumstances, Michael's actions were a serious and unforgivable crime. During the trial, Michael was also allowed to speak. He stood up, his voice trembling but full of sincerity. He tells his story again, from his initial suspicion to the horrifying moment when he discovered the truth and his uncontrollable anger. He admitted all his sins and expressed deep remorse. He said he never thought he could act like that, but the pain and betrayal caused him to completely lose control. Michael's words made many people in the courtroom emotional, but that could not change the truth about the crime he committed. After many days of tense trial, the court finally issued a verdict. The judge, in a stern but sympathetic voice, announced that Michael would be sentenced to life in prison without parole. This sentence is a harsh punishment, but also a warning to everyone about the consequences of actions in uncontrolled anger. When hearing the verdict, Michael had no special reaction. He just nodded silently, as if he had accepted his fate. His eyes were still empty, but deep inside, perhaps he had found some peace as he finally faced the truth and took responsibility for what he had done. The trial ended, but its echoes still echoed in the minds of those who witnessed it. The tragic story of betrayal, hatred, and its devastating consequences has left a profound lesson for everyone. Those who attended the trial and followed the case through the media all felt the seriousness of lack of emotional control and the terrible consequences it can bring. This story is not only a family tragedy but also a warning about loyalty and care in family relationships. Betrayal and negative emotions can lead to unpredictable consequences, leaving pain and regret for everyone involved. Thank you for taking the time to follow today's story on Crime YTB. The family tragedy of Michael, Jessica, and Richard is a poignant reminder of the consequences of betrayal and negative emotions. We hope this story has given you valuable lessons and reflections. If you found this video useful and want to continue following other dramatic crime stories, please press the like and subscribe buttons so you don't miss any of our videos. Don't forget to share this video with friends and relatives to explore and learn lessons from thrilling cases together.